The crack of gunfire echoed across the Syrian desert as Lieutenant Scarlett Davis pressed against the scorching rocks. Blood pooled beneath her fallen teammates while enemy forces closed in from 3 directions. What began as a routine hostage rescue for the 75th Ranger Regiment had transformed into a deadly trap with no extraction in sight. Carson Hamilton, the grizzled Master Chief beside her, checked his ammunition with grim efficiency. 8 years her senior and twice as experienced, he'd never seen odds this impossible. That's when Scarlett's radio crackled with intelligence that changed everything. The terrorist, known as the Ghost, wasn't just holding Dr. Elena Brooks hostage. He was the same man who'd murdered her father 10 years ago in Afghanistan. Welcome to the Story Chronicles. Subscribe and never miss a mission. The desert sun hammered down on Forward Operating Base Phoenix as Master Chief Carson Hamilton addressed his Rangers. His weathered face, carved by years of desert warfare, commanded absolute attention from the 12 elite operators assembled before him. The Nevada heat reflected off his silver hair as he gestured toward the legendary 2,000-meter target that had stood unconquered for 5 years. "Perfect shots don't just happen, Rangers," Hamilton's gravelly voice carried across the range with the weight of his 30-year career. "They're born from discipline, calculation, and thousands of hours mastering fundamentals that separate the living from the dead." His eyes swept the group, stopping momentarily on Lieutenant Scarlett Davis. At 26, she was the youngest officer in the unit, her auburn hair tucked beneath her helmet, green eyes scanning the horizon with predatory focus. Sergeant Blake Patterson stepped forward, his muscular frame casting a shadow across the sand. "Chief, that record shot was made under ideal conditions. Real combat doesn't give you that luxury." Hamilton nodded approvingly. "Environmental variables are everything, Patterson. Wind speed, humidity, temperature gradients, even the curvature of the Earth at extreme distances. Every factor must be calculated and compensated for." He moved to the Barrett M82A1 resting on the table, its massive frame gleaming in the afternoon sun. This weapon system delivers death with certainty at distances most can't even see clearly, but it demands perfection from its operator. The atmosphere shifted as Commander Victoria Moore approached the group. Her uniform was different, bearing insignia that immediately commanded attention. Behind her walked a man in tactical gear whose presence seemed to drain oxygen from the air. "Training's cut short," Moore announced tersely. "We have a situation requiring immediate deployment." Hamilton straightened. "What's the target, Commander?" Moore activated her tablet, displaying satellite imagery of a compound nestled in harsh terrain. "Dr. Elena Brooks, our top nuclear physicist, plus 7 American contractors have been taken hostage at this facility on the Iraq-Syria border. Intelligence confirms the captors are led by a high-value target known as the Ghost." Scarlett's expression hardened at the mention of that name. Her hand instinctively moved to a worn photograph tucked inside her tactical vest. "The Ghost specializes in killing American Special Operations personnel," Moore continued. "He's been responsible for at least 15 confirmed deaths of our operators over the past decade." Corporal Kai Bryant, the team's youngest member at 23, studied the imagery with intense focus. Defensive positions look solid. Multiple elevated firing positions with interlocking fields of fire. Moore nodded grimly. "Intelligence counts 8 sniper positions surrounding the compound. Any conventional assault would result in catastrophic casualties." Hamilton examined the terrain through his binoculars. "What's the extraction timeline?" "Wheels up in 30 minutes, Moore replied. "Full briefing en route." As the team dispersed to gather equipment, Hamilton noticed Scarlett hadn't moved. She remained fixed on the satellite image, her jaw set with cold determination. "Davis," he called quietly, "you know something about this Ghost character." Scarlett's green eyes met his. 10 years ago, my father led a reconnaissance mission in Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Michael Davis, 75th Rangers. His team was ambushed by someone intelligence later identified as the Ghost. Dad died covering his team's withdrawal. Hamilton absorbed this information silently. This personal. Everything's personal when Americans are dying, Chief, Scarlett replied, shouldering her pack. But yes, it's personal. The armory buzzed with controlled urgency as Rangers prepared for immediate deployment. Scarlett methodically assembled her weapon system, a customized ChayTac M200 intervention that she'd personally modified over years of refinement. Patterson approached, watching her work. That's not standard issue. Neither are the shots I make, Scarlett replied without looking up. She opened a specialized case containing ammunition that gleamed with an unusual finish. Custom loads, designed for ultra-long-range interdiction. Hamilton studied the projectiles with professional interest. Effective range? 2,800 meters with these rounds, Scarlett confirmed, but accuracy depends on environmental conditions and shooter capability. Bryant moved closer, examining her setup. You've made shots at that distance? A ghost of a smile crossed Scarlett's face. Further. The conversation was interrupted as Commander Moore entered with updated intelligence. Latest thermal imaging confirms our worst fears. The ghost has positioned his snipers to create a killing field around the compound. Any direct approach is suicide. Hamilton frowned. Options? Limited, Moore admitted, but Lieutenant Davis's counter-sniper capabilities might give us an edge. All eyes turned to Scarlett, who continued her methodical preparations. How many positions need to be neutralized? She asked clinically. 8 confirmed, Moore replied, but they're coordinated. Take out one, the others will adjust their positions. Scarlett looked up from her work. Not if they're eliminated in the correct sequence. I can create a shadow corridor, a temporary blind spot that allows the assault team to advance. Patterson looked skeptical. 8 shots in what time frame? 2 minutes, Scarlett replied calmly. Maybe less. The team fell silent, processing the audacity of what she was suggesting. That's beyond anything in our tactical doctrine, Bryant observed, which is why it might work, Hamilton concluded. They won't expect it because they think it's impossible. Commander Moore made the decision. We proceed with Lieutenant Davis providing counter-sniper overwatch. Failure isn't an option. Dr. Brooks has information that cannot fall into enemy hands. The C-130. Hercules thundered through the night sky, its cargo bay converted into a mobile command center. Maps and tactical displays illuminated the faces of the Rangers as they conducted final preparations for what everyone understood would be an extraordinarily dangerous mission. Scarlett sat apart from the group, making calculations in a worn notebook, her father's journal containing ballistic data and techniques developed over years of precision shooting. Hamilton approached and sat beside her. Mind if I ask how you developed these capabilities? Scarlett glanced up from her calculations. After Dad died, a friend of his took interest in my development. Former Delta operator named Colonel James Wright. He trained me from age 16 in advanced marksmanship. 16? Patterson asked from across the aisle. My childhood ended when Dad was killed, Scarlett replied matter-of-factly. Wright made sure I'd be ready if I ever faced the man responsible. Hamilton studied her profile carefully. There was something in her expression that went beyond professional competence. This was personal vengeance wrapped in military precision. Commander Moore approached with the final intelligence update. Latest satellite imagery confirms the Ghost's position. He's established a command post on the eastern ridge, approximately 2,200 meters from the nearest viable firing position. She displayed the new data. That position has line of sight to all approach routes. If he isn't neutralized first, the entire operation is compromised. Bryant studied the distances involved. 2,200 meters? That's beyond effective range of most weapon systems. Not beyond the range of my ChayTac, Scarlett said quietly. But it's a challenging shot under ideal conditions. These won't be ideal. Hamilton leaned forward. What makes you think you can succeed where others would fail? Scarlett met his gaze directly. Because I've been preparing for this shot my entire adult life. The aircraft's loadmaster announced their approach to the drop zone. As the Rangers prepared for insertion, each understood they were about to attempt something unprecedented. Success would require perfect execution of an impossible plan. "Final equipment check," Hamilton ordered. "Once we're on the ground, there's no room for error." As Scarlett secured her weapon system, she felt the weight of expectation and destiny. The ghost had taken her father 10 years ago. Tonight, she would settle that debt. The helicopter insertion went perfectly, depositing the Rangers on a rocky plateau 3 kilometers from the target compound. The desert night was crystal clear with minimal wind, conditions that favored long-range precision shooting. Scarlett immediately began setting up her firing position while the assault team prepared to advance. Her Chaytak rifle extended on its bipod, the advanced scope and rangefinder attached with mechanical precision. "Environmental check," she announced quietly, consulting her weather meter. "Temperature 22 degrees Celsius, humidity 31%, barometric pressure stable. Wind at 8 knots from the northwest." Hamilton coordinated with the assault team through his headset. "Overwatch is establishing position. Stand by for target assessment." Through her high-powered scope, Scarlett could see the compound clearly despite the darkness. Thermal imaging revealed the positions of the ghost snipers exactly where intelligence had predicted. 8 elevated positions creating interlocking fields of fire. "I have visual confirmation on all 8 positions," she reported, beginning target assessment. Each sniper nest was professionally constructed with excellent concealment and commanding views of the approach routes. Taking them out sequentially would require split-second timing and absolute precision. Bryant's voice came through her earpiece. "Hostages confirmed in the central building. Dr. Brooks and 6 others are being held on the ground floor." Scarlett adjusted her scope settings, calculating firing solutions for each target in the predetermined sequence. The mathematics were complex, accounting for distance, elevation, wind drift, and the curvature of the Earth at extreme ranges. "Ready to commence target elimination," she announced. "Once I fire the first shot, you'll have approximately 90 seconds before they adapt their positions." Hamilton's response was immediate. "Understood. Assault team is in position. Execute when ready." Scarlett drew a controlled breath, her heart rate slowing as she entered the focused state required for extreme precision shooting. The crosshairs settled on the first target, a sniper position 1,800 meters away. Her finger took up the trigger's slack. The rifle fired, its suppressed report barely audible in the night air. Through her scope, she watched the first target collapse. Without pause, she cycled the bolt and acquired the second target. Another shot, another hit. The third target was beginning to move when her bullet found its mark. The fourth attempted to relocate but fell before completing the maneuver. "4 down," she reported calmly, already transitioning to target 5. The remaining snipers were reacting now, recognizing they were under attack from an unknown position. But Scarlett's methodical elimination continued with mechanical precision. 5th target eliminated. 6th target down. 2 remaining, she announced, tracking the 7th sniper as he attempted to flee his position. The shot was more difficult due to his movement, but her bullet intercepted him perfectly. The final sniper had abandoned his position entirely, running for cover. Scarlett led his movement and fired. He dropped instantly. "All targets eliminated," she reported. "Corridor is clear for 90 seconds. Hamilton's voice carried both amazement and urgency. "Assault team, move now." "Outstanding work, Lieutenant." But Scarlett wasn't finished. Through her scope, she could see the ghost himself emerging from the command post, apparently realizing his defensive network had been compromised. He was moving toward a vehicle, preparing to escape. This was the shot she'd been preparing for her entire adult life. The distance was 2,200 meters. The target was moving. Wind had increased to 12 knots with variable gusts. It was the most challenging shot she'd ever attempted. But as she settled the crosshairs on the ghost's center mass, Scarlett felt her father's presence. All those years of training, all those nights studying ballistics, all that preparation had led to this moment. She fired. The bullet traveled for nearly 3 seconds before finding its target. Through her scope, she watched the ghost crumple to the ground, his decade-long reign of terror finally ended. "High-value target eliminated," she announced quietly. The assault team reached the compound without encountering resistance. The Ghost's remaining forces, demoralized by the sudden collapse of their defensive network, offered minimal resistance before surrendering. Dr. Brooks and the other hostages were recovered safely, their relief evident, as they were evacuated to the extraction helicopters. As dawn broke over the Syrian desert, the Rangers gathered at the extraction point. The mission had been a complete success, but the cost of that success was measured in the extraordinary skill of one soldier who had redefined what was possible. Hamilton approached Scarlett as she secured her equipment. That shooting display was beyond anything I've witnessed in 30 years of service. Scarlett looked toward the compound where the Ghost's body lay. Justice was 10 years overdue. Your father would be proud, Hamilton said quietly. For the first time since the mission began, emotion flickered across Scarlett's composed features. He can rest now. They all can. Commander Moore joined them, her expression mixing professional satisfaction with genuine amazement. Lieutenant Davis, what you accomplished tonight will change how we approach similar operations. You've proven that previously impossible shots are achievable with the right combination of skill and determination. As the helicopters lifted off, carrying the Rangers away from the successful mission, Scarlett gazed out at the desert landscape below. The Ghost was dead. Her father was avenged. But more importantly, 8 American lives had been saved because one impossible shot had become possible. Bryant moved to sit beside her as they flew toward home. What's next for the soldier who just redefined long-range precision shooting? Scarlett considered the question carefully. There are other Ghosts out there, other Americans who need someone willing to take the impossible shot. She looked around at her teammates, these Rangers who had trusted her with their lives and the mission's success. And there are other soldiers who need to learn that impossible is just another word for untrained. Hamilton overheard her comment. You thinking about instruction duty? I'm thinking about building something new, Scarlett replied. A capability that ensures no American ever dies because we thought a shot was impossible. The helicopter banked toward home, carrying with it not just a successful mission, but the birth of a new doctrine in precision warfare. Lieutenant Scarlett Davis had proven that with proper training, dedication, and the right motivation, even the most impossible shots could become routine. Her father's death had not been in vain. The Ghost's reign of terror was over, and America's enemies had learned that distance was no longer a sanctuary from justice. As the Syrian desert disappeared behind them, Scarlett began planning her next impossible shot. Because in a world where evil thrived in remote places, someone had to be willing to reach out and touch them. That someone was Lieutenant Scarlett Davis, the Ranger who had just proven that impossible, was merely the starting point for the extraordinary. Stay with the Story Chronicles for more incredible tales of courage that changed the battlefield forever.